Looks like 7:34, and we're at 8:16. So can't start the time. I can't figure out how to change the timer right now. So welcome to speedrun number 4. We're at the part where we're leveling up our guys really high, right before we move on to the rest of the game. Yeah. So because we're at 7:34 here, I'm going to try and make a special note that in about 45 minutes I'll be going ahead with starting the timer. I think we'll still be here, so it shouldn't ruin any actual markings. But anyways, here goes. And like I said before, if you guys are just jumping in now, this is a really annoying noise. So I usually turn the volume down for this and just keep talking about what's going on in my life right now. And then we can move on with the game. So let me just kind of catch everybody up. Right now we're at the part of the game where we shouldn't technically be going against these guys. These guys are usually near the end of the game. But because you activate an alarm, and you can only do it now, you couldn't have done it earlier. When you activate this alarm, for some reason the game is tricked, I guess, into thinking that you're in a future part of the game. So because we're fighting guys way more difficult than we should be, our experience level goes up too. So, I mean, the trick is really just, shouldn't have done that. The trick is just knowing the strategy going into it to taking these guys out. And we're able to master and level up a lot of our stuff early on, as well as because our guys are going to be so overpowered, we don't really need to farm or max elsewhere for a long time. Anyways, the delay on the video is like maybe 10 seconds, so if I bring something up, you might see it in a sec. But I think we just mastered our first summon material. That's pretty good. So as much as all materia is, the crazy thing about maxing out all materia is, like the materia that is named all, is that when you master it, you get 1.4 million gil. And so that's always good for, I mean, that's generally how you make a crap load of money in this game. And how we're basing off when we're ready to go to the next part of the game is we collect smoggers drop sometimes these things called deadly waste. And when we get our deadly waste up to about 97, that's when we know it's a good time to go, because you can't make more than 99. So I based off 97 based on if I were to have one more battle, I could potentially be overflowing over 99, because you go against 3 smoggers at once. But once we're getting up to that level, which is, I mean, once we're at that point, our guys will be so freaking powerful. The last thing we're also going to want to do is also steal smoke bombs, and smoke bombs are going to come in handy actually really soon. They are a freaking miracle worker when it comes to the battle square, which we'll be going to after this. And the reason being is, well, I'll explain it when we get there. Sorry, guys. I took a picture here of. How do I? So I'm basically trying. Well, I'm just going to be manually inputting these things in because this is really frustrating. 549.46. 5. I just don't understand why after I input these. Well, all I can do then is just, you know, keep going. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be saving times as I go. Take a picture of times that, at least it's saving the times that in the background. It's just not really giving an accurate one currently on the right, but hopefully we can write that. I've made a few changes. Another good gauge is, as you can see there, I had about 360,000 gil. I know I definitely go over 1,000,000 usually, so this is a grind. If this isn't a grind, this is the biggest grind of the entire game, really. So it can be boring, but I mean, the cool thing is watching all your material get mastered. That's big. And the other big thing is the other big thing is watching your guys get like overpowered, and you get so good. I mean, you get so powerful. You don't even have to use magic anymore against these guys. And then for the rest of the game, you're just crushing it. So some people might spend longer here than others. Some might people go slower. My opinion is, if we're efficient here, we're saving so much time in the future. But it's definitely a grind. I'll give you that. And really, this is what we want. I know chance is chance, and you'll probably get an even amount of every formation. But when you get those triple guys there, the triple smoggers, man, does that not push you forward. Look at that, another thing. So another magic material is mastered, so we can remove that. And your guy's only going to be healthier. His strength's not going to be as down. Like, they just get stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm questioning here whether I should be mastering alls, but because I'm already mastering one, I should actually be starting to master these things. You know what? You need cash, so may as well keep doing cash. Yeah, because I already got an L going. Yeah. Basically, everything is mastered by the end of this, so I'm just trying to think what would be the best route. If it's continued, I mean, really, I only need to fill one more all position. We'll see. We'll see. There's another. Done. Last of the blues. Oh yeah. So now that restore's gone, geez, I didn't even notice that. Now that restore's gone, we have to start using our white wind enemy skill. The only problem with that, I'll actually do it right now. The only problem with that, oh, that's actually perfect, is because we only have one enemy skill equipped. If we had two different heroes with two enemy skills, one could do white wind, one could cast beta and be efficient. Problem with only one of them having it is you gotta cast white wind, wait a bunch of turns, and then you can cast beta, and that's just not efficient. I think we honestly, like, the amount of fights we do in this, in here, think we almost do 300 fights. So it's up there. The reason I skip ahead is if anything actually does get mastered, it won't be covered by them leveling up. You know, whether you level up or another material levels up, when something's mastered, it pops up at the top of the stat screen. So it's okay. So if nothing pops up right away, you know you're fine. Oh shit. That was stupid. This might work out, actually. Good. Another thing was born. Just reviewing, making sure I haven't skipped over anything. Perfect. Okay, last category. So this is kind of a dangerous time right now because now that we have someone with the cover material that we're just trying to level up, they'll inadvertently actually cover a lot of the damage. That can be a huge problem. That was awesome. I think that was our first one where just 3 guys attacking took them out in one go, equaling no damage, and so it's just straight up fast experience. There's a couple of materia that we actually master twice, just because like personally, and it's not just me who thinks this, like reviewing a lot of forums online, a lot of people agree that the best final 3 heroes to use for everything is, well, Cloud. You need Cloud because they don't let you put him out of the party for the most part. Barrett, just he's a heavy hitter. Being at the beginning, that's a pretty crazy thing. You'd think, why is the second hero in the entire game the best? And then the last one being Sid Highwind, which we don't have yet, but the reason why they think those 3 collective are the best is mainly because their level 4 limit break helps. They're all 3 of them, their level 4 limit breaks hit the most. But the crazy thing is some of these guys' level 4 limit breaks only hit once, And so if you can have a max of 9999 damage, like basically 10,000 damage in one hit, it's just weird that. Okay, let's see if this actually works. Wow. It doesn't make sense to me why anyone's level 4 limit break would only hit once, but it is what it is. We're at 750 and 815, so in about 25 minutes. Actually, I should look at the time. So, real time right now, at around 11:40, I should start paying attention. That's free experience, right there. Alright, we're going to switch enemy skill users. It's funny because there's been people who apparently played this game for years and they didn't know too much about that arrange exchange. I mean, I think it took me a while too. About that arrange exchange menu. The cool thing about it, and I think I talked about this in a previous video, was that you can like swap entire weapon to weapon materia combinations, and you're not swapping the weapon itself or the armor itself, but it just like grabs all 4, 5, 6 materia and moves them up to the whoever you're switching them to. And also you can do it in entire characters too, so I don't know, they just, when Squaresoft and them were all making this game, it was just really cool how they allowed you to work the menu that well. So some of the materials. Oh, so yeah, going back to why sometimes we level up materia, master it twice, is because there's a few materia that every hero will benefit from. So, like I said, the best setup being Barret, Cloud, and Sid. Well, out of those three, 2 of them need long range materia for the best payout, basically. Like having all your heroes in the back row with long range materia or long range weapon is the best setup because it's not only that it lessens damage taken, or lessens damage if you're taking somebody out in the back row. It also allows you to reach every enemy. There's a few, there's enemies in this game. Wow, that was amazing. There are enemies in this game you can't reach without a long range weapon, and if you don't want to use magic, I'll get into it later, but there is a setup, a materia setup. Takes 3 materia. There's a cool combination discovered, and that's eventually you get this thing, materia called double cut, and double cut can be upgraded to 4 times cut. And so 4 times cut, that's amazing, but to make it 5 times cut, you need a combination of master command, jeez, I'm forgetting the setup right now. Master command, added cut, right. So there's another material called added cut, and even though it's a support materia, it doesn't pair naturally with double cut or 4 times cut. So if you put master command beside it, and you also have the double cut, we'll get into it, but you eventually get a 5 times cut, and that's with your maxed out guys at the end of this game, that's 50,000 damage a turn. And if you have 3 guys doing that, if you have you know, you make one guy do that, and then the other two heroes, you mime it, because that's another, you know, late stage end game materia. That's in one turn, or in one play out of, you know, your hero, all three heroes doing their first turn. You could cause basically 150,000 damage to one enemy. And there's not too many bosses or enemies in this game that can survive that. So, other than that, and the lucky 7 trick that I'll show near the end of this game, yeah, you can really become overpowered in this game, really. Pretty soon we'll also not need to use laser there, because we're almost at that point where our guys' normal attacks are becoming as powerful as laser. Laser, again, I believe it splits the damage. It's like a demi. It's like demi 2, I believe. It's like a gravity spell, or it cuts, but it isn't gravity. So somebody's. Let me see. I just actually want to see now. Laser lessons 1 and 1. Yeah. If you're immune to demi, I'm pretty sure you're immune to laser. But yeah, it's really powerful. Obviously, it doesn't work on a lot of bosses, but it works on a lot of guys. I have a lot of health. So Barrett's got like one more cast of beta, and then we'll go to the inn and rest and save. Now, because we do have Aqualung on... Oh. Do I have Aqualung on both? I think I have Aqualung on both, yeah. So Aqualung costs 1 less MP than Beta. But the reason I do Aqualung, the reason I do Beta over Aqualung is because Beta's quicker to choose in the menu by like a second. That's it. And I'm pretty sure Smoggers are resistant to water. I mean, now you'd be taking them out with Aqualung, but before, you wouldn't be. Alright, let's see where we're at. Okay. Nothing better than, you know, resting here. Your guys are fully healed with full MP. Like, you just destroy. I used to think of the, you know, once we get into the 3,000s and 4,000s, it's pretty much like armor now. Our guys are so strong. Everything's raising every level, right? The sooner we can get revived, the better. That thing is a nuisance. Just wanted to make sure Ramu was equipped. Again, because I base it off of deadly waste, how many you get, it is really luck of the draw. I was playing this game on my iPhone the other day at work. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I was playing this on my iPhone the other day, and at the very beginning where we were raising, as you can see in our first video on YouTube here, when the first leveling up area is the upper piping. in the reactor when we're raising up to the 89 potions. For some reason, I just kept getting 3 potions at a time, and my guys actually barely leveled up because I go at 89. Like, these are my time marks in which these are my milestones in which I, decide to move on. And the same could happen here, right? Because I go at 97 deadly waste, I could be here a lot longer, I could be here a lot less. But once we get up to 90 deadly waste, that's when I start mugging the smoggers, because it's not guaranteed. And actually, when you mug, when you're successful, if you steal, they won't drop. But I try and get smoke bombs from these guys. Obviously, once we're a lot more stronger, because yeah, just because once you're a lot stronger, you're not getting hit by these guys as much either. But the problem is, right, I could be unsuccessful stealing things, and once you're mugging, you're hurting them, right? Because our steal will be mastered by then. So with that in mind, because that's happening, sometimes you just might be completely unsuccessful mugging all these guys and you're killing them, and then they're dropping deadly waste. You hit 97, you don't have enough smoke bombs. It's pretty rare, but it is a possibility. Yeah, I still think we have to use laser if we go against a custom sweeper. Sorry, a death machine. They're the same thing. As you can see, we're powerful now, so if we have a preemptive attack, I'm not using any magic, we're just saving tons of MP and time. Well, I said in this, during this grinding here, because there's 3 grindings, right? And for each grind, the first one's the past. Now, this is the second grind. This is the present. And then the last grinding is talking about the future. I guess, I could continue talking about the present right now. And I do want to, life is tough, life is hard. Life is good. It is what it is. I'm lucky to have my health. This game sometimes lets me I've been playing this game for so long, my whole life. I don't know. I don't have to worry about anything else when I'm playing this game because I know what I'm doing at all times. You think it's silly, right? Because now it's an equation. This game is such an equation. It's like, why do you even have fun doing it? And I sometimes think to myself, maybe this game is just so much fun because, to me, because it's so long, so big, right? And just the general challenge, you can always, there's so many choices you can make in this game. And I find even after 23 years, I make these little different choices, and it's like a different approach to the game. So I don't know. Life can be tough. And probably shouldn't be talking about specifics right now, but yeah, I should be talking about. Well, one thing about the president is talking about what we should be raising money for. Something weird about. I've always thought about charities is that, like, nobody raises money for a certain condition or diagnosis until it affects someone close to them. And I thought, well, that's kind of, tacky or tasteless. But then you think, well, no, if, the more people it affects, the more people more people are going to be raising money for that specific charity. So if more people are, affected by lung cancer over, skin cancer, well, there's going to be more people that are interested in fighting for a cause in that. So I'm so privileged in life, and my life has been, generally, I've been so lucky. Like, you try not to live in a comparative world, but when you're living in a reality that you're on this earth and you see other people in situations where you think, oh, I can't imagine living in a third world country. I can't imagine, how other people go about their lives when I have it so good. I have it so good. And when you talk about equality and hoping that everybody, you want everybody to live the quality of life that you live, right? People start talking about socialism and communism, and it's like, that's freaking bullshit. I mean, if you think capitalism right now and you think wage inequality isn't a huge issue, if you honestly think capitalism is the way to go, fuck. Man, it's just bullshit, man. Alright. This is funny. I should go long range, but I should exchange it. Long range with all. There we go. Now cloud can be in the back, so this is the order I go now. Yeah, I just think, like, I don't know. I don't get why people think, like, other people are higher than others. Why people are more deserving than others. No, we're all deserving. All humans are deserving of equality. All. Doesn't matter who you are. And when you hear the rhetoric, when you hear the rhetoric coming from politicians, it's all words, right? Like, when push comes to shove, when it comes to your money, people think, well, no, like, I worked harder for this. I deserve the exact same opportunity. I deserve more opportunities because I worked harder. Well, we should all contribute to society, but that doesn't mean, like, we are shitting on the poor because we feel that these 1%ers are more deserving, and it just pisses me off. And so when I think about raising it for charity, coming from so privileged, I think about, okay, like, who are people we should be raising money for? The poor? Well, that's tough, right? A lot of these charities, it's hard to give to the poor. A lot of these charities, unless you're handing money directly to some homeless person on the street, where does your money go? And I can contribute through charity, and I have in the past through my work, but I want to do a special cause, right? And I think about what's affecting me. So one of the ideas when I do this 24-hour run, one of my ideas was for PTSD. But then I thought, well, is that like a whiny? Is that a good enough cause to raise money for? Obviously, there's so many more serious causes out there, right? Like, I mean, cancer will eventually kill us all. So looking for a cure for cancer is, like, in general, we're trying to reverse genetic mutations so we can all live, 20 years longer, 40 years longer, 50 years longer. It's great. I never shit on looking for cures. I just think that, how do we make the most quality of life? And mental health is a big one, right? I think about our environment all the time, And when you hear that, even if every single car in this world, every single car in this world changed to electric right now, it still wouldn't be a major change. It wouldn't be a good enough change to stop, the effects that we're doing to our planet when it comes to carbon emissions. And let's see if we need to use laser. This is a little tester here. Oh yeah, we still need to use laser for quite a while. Yeah, it's just like, apparently, the top 10 factory, or the top 10 producers of carbon emissions are what's guilty. And how do we do it? How do we change our ways? We're so stuck in our ways. We are just bound to destroy this earth. We're bound, not even destroy the earth. The earth will, live on after humans. It's how do we keep this earth viable for our grandkids and our great-grandchildren? I even think about my nephew and my niece, and how are they gonna have the best? Like, I just want them to have, a safe world. I want them to have a safe world. And I don't mean when it comes to violence. I'm talking about a world where you're not having a natural disaster every freaking month. Where you have climate and weather that is compatible to life. And I worry. I think about them all the time. I think about, all right, how have I damaged the planet in any way? Well, I mean, as an individual, I think I've been pretty good. Like, I don't think I damaged the planet as much as maybe others. But I think as a collective, like, again, it's not a comparison. It's not a comparison, because individuals aren't the root cause. It's these massive industrial complexes that are just, like, whether it's factories or, I know that's such a vague answer because I can't give you exactly, those top 10 companies that are polluting everything, but we should be able to address, or at least change our ways. And I know we're trying. We're all doing our best. We're all doing our best. I just think we're dooming ourselves. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that, so what do I raise money for? Even if I raise money for PTSD awareness, what's it going to? What's it going to? Like, that's why, like, is it going to, like, psychological help? Well, here in Canada, like, healthcare, our healthcare system is, it covers a lot of costs. And, I know with my service, who I work for, like, they do try their best. They really, really do try their best with helping protect us and setting us up with the resources that we need. Like, I give full credit to my service. Like, I don't expect any more from my service when it comes to caring about my mental health. I know they do. I mean, I have my own complaints and issues with certain things, but I'm sure I would at other places. And, to each your own. And I'm always going to be an advocate. I'm always going to fight for what's right. Always. I'm sorry, like, even if it goes against, if it goes against certain policies, if it's advocating for a patient or advocating for a family member, that's how I always look at it. No matter how much people go against me, I think people who go against people who care about others have just lost their way. They don't realize why they first got into the job in the first place, but I digress. So that's why I do think, the best charity or donation I could contribute to is the Paramedic Benevolent Fund. And I think the Paramedic Benevolent Fund is beautiful, and maybe I'm slightly biased because, I participated in the CPMR, which is the Canadian Paramedic Memorial Ride. It's first year, actually. It's incumbent year, which I would have been, that was like 2013, 2014, because I was actually in school for paramedic at that time. And our program coordinator, a freaking legend, in London, allowed us to take the ambulance up, school ambulance up to Toronto, and a bunch of us brought bicycles up, and we did the first hike. That's awesome, by the way, with Revive out. Chocobo lure, by the way, is another one that we want to raise twice for a good reason. Because if you have two master chocobo lures, you have the best chance at luring, not just one, you need two. At actually luring one, like, oh shit. You have the best chance. Just because, it's not like actually keeping, once you're in the battle, it's just enacting a battle. When you're running over those tracks, even when you have a chocobo lure equipped and you're running over those tracks, it doesn't necessarily yield you a chance to get a chocobo, is what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, Benevolent Society. I might be biased, but I mean, I'm never 100% sure about anything. That's a huge view I have on life. I'm pretty sure it raises money for the families of paramedics who we have lost. Whether it's it might just be in the line of duty. And one thing is, like, if a medic kills themselves, right? Suicide is a thing. You can't shy away from it. If a paramedic kills themselves, and it's hard, right, to say, well, was this because of work or was this because of, family? Was this because of family? And, like, who knows? Or was this because of something in their past or something they're dealing with outside of work? The problem is our job doesn't help in any sense. Like, I mean, I sometimes, during really stressful times, I think about work and I think about, does work help me? Like, when I'm having a hard time in life, I think going to work helps me. But then when I'm having a good time in life, it's like, does work sometimes bring me down? Does it get me stressed? But long story short, what I'm trying to say is that if a paramedic kills themselves, there is a high sense of suspicion that, well, I'm sure work contributed to them feeling suicidal. Like, the shit we see is, like, it keeps you up at night. It makes you question life, like, in good ways and bad ways. It makes you question life, like, wow, I am so fortunate. Holy shit. I wasn't like any of those 6 patients I had today. Whether you're having a heart attack or a stroke or, you go to a horrible trauma, like a bad car accident or something. Those are the simplest versions of shit we go to. But you go to these calls and you're like, well, I wasn't that person today. Like, it's when I go to somebody who's injured, I'm not injured. Yes, I have to see it, and I'm honored. I'm absolutely honored that I got through all the steps, and I know I had to, that partly is because I worked hard for this, but I'm honored that I was chosen to work as a medic. I had to get hired. I had to go through interviews. So, yeah, it's like, sorry, we're almost there. We're about to start the timer. Is that so? This job makes you question life. Like, it makes life seem so fickle, but sometimes it also makes life seem so fleeting. It makes it seem so freaking. Sometimes it makes it feel pointless. Sometimes it makes life feel like, well, I'm gonna die one of these ways. I'm gonna, you see the cruelty of world, and like, I don't think it's crazy when somebody looks at the cruelty of this world and is like, why don't I want to live in it? One thing I want to dispel right now is when people say suicide is selfish. Okay, I hate that because, yes, maybe that saying will help people, remember, will think about the family and friends they're leaving behind. But to say it's selfish is unfair. Like, one thing that should be emphasized to people who are feeling kind of in the orange or the red, as we say in the road to readiness, or people who feel on that brink of like feeling suicidal, having suicidal ideations, like considering it. I think it's important to emphasize that there are friends and family who would miss you dearly, and friends and family who love you so dearly, and like you would be missed, and people don't want you to die. But to say it's selfish is taking it to a whole nother level, which is unfair, because I once heard a comparison saying that someone said it's as if those, well, geez, how fitting. I'm pretty sure September 11th is in. Geez, this is almost. I don't know. I don't think it's insensitive. I actually think it's a good analogy. So September 11th actually right now is happening in 15 minutes, and God, that's so sad. All those lives lost. And one of the crazy things was seeing people. I mean, I remember. We have a little bit more grinding left. I'll mention where I was on September 11th. But people jumping from the building. So when people were jumping from the two World Trade Centers, the comparison was those people were jumping because if they hadn't jumped, they most likely would have been consumed by the flames and the smoke that were happening behind them. These people up on the 70th floor, and they have to make a choice. Do I jump, or do I get swallowed by the flames? And somebody once made that comparison to suicide. Was it selfish for those people to jump? I don't think it was selfish for those people to jump. They made a choice. Is it selfish? Should they have, maybe there was a chance they could have gotten out. Maybe there was a chance. And that's how people who feel suicidal, that's how they feel. They feel like they are in a building that is surrounded in flames. And I think it's unfair for us to say, oh, you should put up with life. Like, and one thing I try and emphasize to my patients all the time is that I want them to get a different perspective on life. Because we all see life through a different lens. And just because life to us seems, at the moment, easy and sorry, I just want to get through this. In their reality, even though from our view, wow, like, why would that person want to commit suicide? If they had just seen life through my eyes or your eyes, they would have seen that it wasn't so bad, that they could have gotten out of it. It's what they say about people who've survived, who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge to kill themselves. And they apparently, one thing that is said is as soon as they jump, they regret it, and they realize that their problems aren't as bad as they thought. But is that fair to be saying to somebody who decides to kill themselves because life at that very moment is not as enjoyable as it could be? Well, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair for us to tell people that suicide is selfish. Because who's caring for them? Shouldn't they care for themselves? And in their eyes, they're making the best decision. At that moment in time, they feel they're making the best decision. Well, why are we, like, it might not be. It might not be. I just don't think that's in our place to judge. I don't think we should be judging people. I really don't. I don't think we should be judging people who kill themselves. And that and if that's an unpopular opinion, it is what it is. I just think that suicide is one of those things that, like, okay, for example, medically assisted suicide, MAID, right? Medically assisted, was it induced death? Whatever it is, euthanasia. Okay, so you have to get to a certain point of horrible health to kill yourself. Like, don't get me wrong. There are tons of people who are survivors of horrible mental health. All right, manipulate Ifrit. There are tons of people who, were suicidal, and I can't imagine how thankful they are that somebody changed their perspective. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about changing perspective. Because, but if at that moment someone decides, okay, like, life's not worth it anymore, and they make that decision before giving life one more chance. Do you think suicide is something that people just choose right away? It's their first decision? I care to disagree. I think suicide is a last resort. I think suicide is something that people stir with for long periods of time. I think it's something that people stir with, and I don't think it's a rash decision at that moment. Pulling that trigger, hanging themselves, overdosing. At that moment, it's a rash decision, but I don't think it's something that it just one day it's like a light switch. I think it's a build-up. And to say, oh, it was selfish because they didn't give life one more try, nah. Like, that's an unfair outlook on life. And so I don't blame anyone who kills themselves. I don't want anyone to kill themselves, because I'm all about changing that perspective. Even when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling sad, like, I tell myself, well, maybe in the future I'll have a different perspective. And time again, let's see if this works. Time and time again, we all have our peaks and valleys, right? So when you're down, you're just hoping that the roller coaster goes back up and you're happy again. And, in my life, it seems like every time I'm really down, eventually I'm back up. But I can't imagine people who are on their own roller coaster and it stays down and it doesn't go up, or it doesn't go up high enough to make them feel like surviving. And I just don't think it's fair. So I'll just end on saying that I don't think suicide is selfish. I don't think suicide is selfish. I don't like it. And so the Benevolent Society, talking about donating to them, people who died in the line of, in our service, when we work for our service, like, I think that's great, because, like, geez, we have such a dangerous job. And if somebody were to kill themselves, I would say that was in the line of duty. I would say if work has drawn them to that point, like, suicide rates in first responders is higher than in most jobs. So we need to have that correlation. We need to get that across, that, our job contributes to poor mental health. So, but at the end of the day, if the Benevolent Society chooses, I don't know how they choose, but if it's only the people who actually die or injured in the line of battle, well, it feels like a battle sometimes, during service, and that they give to families. They give to families who have lost somebody, their daughter, their husband, their wife, their brother or sister, their mom or dad, who've lost a paramedic. I am all for it. I think that's probably the best charity to donate to. For me, when I do this run, I think that'll be the best charity for me to donate to. I personally do. But yeah, so are we at September 11th yet? No, I'll talk about September 11th, and it's in 7 minutes, so I'll talk about my time then. But yeah, so yeah, Benevolent Society will probably be the one I donate to. And, once I get fit again, not due to things in my life right now, I'm not really the most fit, but once I get fit again, I'll definitely be doing the memorial ride all the way to Ottawa. That's something, a goal I've always wanted to do. I've heard it's like almost borderline spiritual. Steel is actually technically good to have because it adds to your dexterity, and I'm gonna have it in a bit, anyways. But yeah, so I'll probably donate to them, and I do want to also preface that I'm not. By the way, I'm not on the spectrum right now of orange or red. I'm actually at a pretty good spot in my life, so I don't want anyone to worry when I talk about these things that I'm talking about myself. I'm not. I'm talking about my fear for my coworkers. I love my coworkers. I love every paramedic, especially paramedics. Don't get me wrong, firefighters and police, all my love to you guys too. All of you, all of you. Anyone who's a first responder, much love, right? We're all doing this together. It's such a good job. It can be such a rewarding job. But people who aren't first responders, I hate to say it, but it's hard to relate sometimes because you don't when I tell stories, people just who aren't first responders, it's the truth is stranger than fiction, right? And yeah, I feel like there's a connection I have with first responders, especially paramedics though. A whole deeper connection with anybody who's a paramedic, because you deal with the same stuff, right? Our fellow coworkers, we all deal with similar things. So, it's just and this is even. I'm not just talking about healthcare. I'm talking about specifically paramedics. Another thing I'll go off on is that I love my nurses and doctors too. Nurses, doctors, RTs, MRT, anyone in healthcare, environmental services, the people who keep our hospitals clean, and that, our counselors, our physiotherapists, anyone in healthcare, much love. And one thing I've always thought about was that, so we call people who we can pronounce, I'm an idiot. People who meet our obvious dead criteria. So they are beyond paling and resuscitation. So these are people who it's futile and I'll do the brutal example of a decapitation. It is futile. Somebody who's decapitated, there's no reason to initiate resuscitative efforts, right? So we have criteria, and decapitation being one of them, being a code 5. And when someone's code 5, it just basically means that they meet our obvious dead standards and there's no reason to carry on. So you make the pronouncement. Well, you ever think about it? Doctors and nurses generally will never see a code 5. They will see people we bring in who are actively resuscitating. They will see people, they will lose people in the hospital. They will see people die in front of them. We bring a ton of patients in that, we've gotten a heartbeat back, or we haven't gotten a heartbeat back, that we're currently still resuscitating. We bring people in that die. We bring people in that are dead and remain dead. And they have to see all of that. But the crazy thing is nurses and doctors generally never see a code 5. They don't see people so burnt to death that they, I know this is heavy subject material, but they don't see this stuff. So that even is why my deeper connection with paramedics is because it's something that we just see, right? And it's just something we see. And yeah, it's just one thing that, as a first responder, I'm sure a lot of my first responders will agree with me, but I can only talk as per me, is that it's never the body. You know, when you're a student and when you're brand new, you're so nervous to go to that first bad call, that first call where whether you're going to see a dead body or a dying person, like, you know, you're scared about that. It's not normal if you're not scared. It's not. And for any of you new hires who think that, you know, you can handle this, that's wonderful. I'm glad you can handle this. But I think it's arrogant and cocky to say if you're not a little scared. Even Mike Tyson said he was scared fighting, and that guy is a freaking king. So, I just don't. So yeah, but then you realize shortly after, it's never the body. The body is not the disturbing part. It's the context. It's the environment. It's the family members. That's what's so freaking messed up. You know. What am I doing? That's what's the most messed up of it all. Of it all. You know. I was lucky enough that they trained us in death notification. But like, you can only teach a death notification so well in school. I mean, I'm sure they could do a better job too, but like, just think about that. Like, you're in school learning about how to notify a family member that someone has died, right? Okay, it is what it is. You're notifying someone. But like, do you really pick up on the gravitas? Do you really pick up on the levity of how serious that is? A family member, a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, a wife, somebody who's been married for 65 years. You're gonna go to it. You're gonna go to somebody who's that's their person. That's literally their other half. You're having to tell somebody that your half of you has died, and unfortunately there's nothing you can do. And one thing I'll always say, midnight, happy September 11th. That was just weird. I just got a weird text. So, you know, I don't think people appreciate it. I don't think people appreciate it. I really don't. It's a serious one. And actually, that's what I was going to say. I got distracted. What I was going to say was, you know, one of the craziest honors or things I had ever accomplishment. I don't even know how to explain. Something that really warmed my heart once. Oh my goodness. That was weird. I once pronounced, we once attempted to resuscitate somebody, okay? And unfortunately, it was to no avail. There was nothing we could do. We tried our best. I forget how long we tried for. Would have been a good 20 minutes probably. No matter the case, we tried. We tried our hearts out. And there were other allied agencies on scene that once we got the pronouncement were kind of not necessarily cold, but indifferent and not very warm to the sister that we had to now tell that, you know, unfortunately there was nothing we could do. The sister was the only one on scene at the house that we, you know, basically we had to tell her, like, I'm so sorry, you know, we tried everything we could, but there was nothing we could do for your sister, and if there was anything more we could do, we would have done it. And we tried our best, and I'm so sorry, and there was nothing we could do. And, you know, the sister was very receptive to that. And one thing I do like to emphasize is, you know, it's not just a dead body. That was a person. That was a someone. And it's hard to check the temperature or read the room sometimes. But sometimes, people like, after death, people like to talk about the person, and sometimes people don't, right? You just got to read the room. And one thing is that I've noticed some people like talking about their family member, but who they were. So I will sit there long enough to hear who they were just to help with processing. Here we are sometimes instructed to hand them a card that's, offers them victim services, but sometimes you can make the biggest impact right there, right then. So this person told me about her sister after we sat there on the couch with her for a bit. We were in overtime, and we sat there and we listened. And let me tell you, the other allied services who were there on scene weren't necessarily the warmest to this person. Okay, well, it's once we leave, we give our condolences, and once there's no more questions or anything like that, and we do our paperwork, we leave, right? So you think, well, that's just another call. It really was, right? We leave. It's awful. Like, I can't take that stress home with me. We tried everything we could. I can't be mourning that person because my next shift, I could be having to mourn another person that we pronounce. So long story short, I know, too late, right? 3 months later, like 3, 4, 5 months later, somebody walks into a hospital, finds a paramedic, has a note, gives it to the paramedic, and says, I don't know who the 2 paramedics were that came and tried to save my sister, but I just want to let them know that them sitting there for that extra 5-10 minutes and them explaining everything to me and hearing her out at that time, that did wonders for me, and that helped me, and it really helped her process and give her closure on her sister. And the craziest thing is, like, you as a paramedic, you think, well, I'm going to be getting thank you cards and notes when I save a life, if I save a life. And I'm going to be, like, those are going to be the success stories, right? Generally, the biggest success stories are saving a life, right? Quality of life, hopefully, too. But also, or, like, delivering a baby. Like, those are, like, the 2 happy, there's other happy moments, but those are generally the happy ones, saving a life and delivering a baby. Those are, like, the 2, I find, general ones. But how could you think about you'd ever get a thank you letter, from pronouncing somebody? You'd ever get a thank you letter for not being able to save one. And it goes to show, like, the difference, that's how multifaceted paramedics are, like, can be and need to be, right? There's so much more to this job than just the medical side of it. I think there's a spiritual side to it. I'm not, like, the most religious person in the world at all, by any means. I do find I'm spiritual. And at some points in our job, we have to disconnect that part of it, right? We cannot. It is not our job to be in the back of an ambulance praying for somebody. That's not it. It's not our job. Our job is to be doing delegated medical acts, and what we're trained to do, whether it's basic life support, advanced life support, that is our job at that moment, is to provide the best medical care, exceptional medical care possible, right? I think some people get distracted by other things, but that is our job. But once that's taken care of, I think there is more to our job. I've seen things posted before online about how, like, in other cultures, people who are invited into the first moments of life and the last moments of life, so birth and death, that's of high honor. It's of high honor that you're even welcomed into a home when, the first moments of life are being welcomed in, or the last minutes of life are, we're saying farewell to. And I am honored. I'm extremely honored. I feel so privileged to do my job. That's it. I think before, you think about all the good you can do, and you try your best, and some days you definitely don't feel like you're doing your best, or you're made to feel like you're not doing your best. But it is what it is. So yeah, family members can really have a huge impact too on how you handle it. And I know in my last video I talked about how we're paid to be okay. It's not our job to be mourning. And I had a hard time about that, right? I went to a really bad call where 2 people passed away at the same time. And it was so sudden and immediate that I felt this obligation and guilt to mourn them, because nobody else was there at that moment to mourn them. These 2 people were alone at that moment. And I felt like it's my job. If nobody else is going to do it, or no one else is going to do it, well, then I'm going to be the person to mourn for them. But it's not my job. It's not my job. Unless it's good for my mental health, it is not my job to be doing that. It is my job to process and be ready enough to do the next call. I really do feel like that. I think there is a fine balance. Some people think we're getting too soft now, and that, we're so bubble wrapped and cushioned that, we're so sensitive. And I do think sensitive is good. I think we do need to recognize mental health, and we all need to work on our emotional intelligence and get better at it. But at the same time, we have a job to do, and that's important, right? I always think about if the earth was a body, what kind of cell you would be. And I'm pretty bad when it comes to oncology and that, but I know there's the helper T cells, and I always think about paramedics being the people who try and go and repair. We're almost like the prostaglandin release or whatever. When there's an initial wound, and all the clotting cascade starts. I always think about paramedics, because we're going to the front lines of the initial wound. We're all the bradykinins and the prostaglandins that start the inflammation and trying to repair the body. And I always think about if I'm a helper T cell, I don't have time for remorse. I gotta do my job, right? Do cells think? I don't know, probably not, but I'm here to do my job. And like I said in my last video, if I'm not fit for duty, well, I'm not fit for duty. I don't hold it against my work for, it's not their bad that I'm not fit for duty. I do feel like management gives a crap about our mental health. Don't even get me started with management. Anyways, so we'll move on now. Actually, we're doing really well here. So, September 11th, horrible day, changed the world. A lot of people died. And, oh fuck, why do I keep doing this? I think it was very sad. It is very sad. There's a lot of tragedies in this world, and that was a sad one. But yeah, it's September 11th today now. And that was a really sad day. I was in grade 7 or 8, and we had just come back from recess, I believe, or lunch, and we had my teacher, Madame Coupe, was our French immersion homeroom teacher. She told us we all had to sit down, and she had to talk to us and tell us about something. And I remember when she told me that the World Trade Centers, she told all of us the World Trade Centers had been hit. The first thing was, I didn't know what the World Trade Centers were, personally. I was uneducated. I also don't think I understood like how serious it was. Um, when they tell you they got hit by planes, it's like, okay, it just sounds like wow, that's a crazy occurrence. Got hit by a plane, and then you hear that it collapsed and a lot of people died. Like I still like had no reference to like I had nothing to compare it to. And I didn't really, when you hear about wars, like World War One, World War Two, and you hear about millions of people dying, you're like, okay, like, I don't know, that was my perspective, was like, I didn't know how serious it actually was. So, she told us, I know everybody had a different experience, and depending on a different grade you were in, or different teacher, or whatever part of your life was, but I remember my teacher did say, go home. And I don't know if she specifically said watch the news, but she did say, go home, talk to your family, and write down anything like your perspective on this. And so I did. I got home, and I was home first. I don't know what they call them, lock key children. I wasn't really lock key children. I got home first, so I had the place to myself for not that long. Like, really, not that long at all. Like an hour or 2 hours, whatever. And I remember turning on the news, and that's weird, grade 7 and 8, actually being interested in the news. And I remember I didn't turn away from that was like gore and porn, basically, That's a horrible way to say it, but like, seeing something so traumatic. Nowadays, everyone's so desensitized, right? So you don't even I don't think people even freaking realize how desensitized they are now. So that kind of gore, like pre-YouTube days basically, and pre-everything days, that was the most sensory overload that you could possibly have. And so how could you look away? And I remember my mom coming home, and us talking about it and how wild it was. But it was almost like I never turned my head from the TV. I feel like I ate dinner, but I never turned my head from the TV. And, go to school the next day, and I wrote, a couple paragraphs about what I experienced. But, yes, it changed the world in so many ways. But September 11th was just one of those things. And the crazy thing is that, I never turned away from the news. And I think after that, news must have become the most popular thing in the world after all that. It must have. Because, ever since that day, so that was 19 years ago. 19 years ago. And for the last 19 years, I've been, on and off of news, being interested in it and that. But I am very interested. I think it, opened my eyes. It was, for me, personally, it was the most convenient timing as far as that's the time in your life when you should maybe start getting more interested with the world and, outside of your bubble. Being 13, 14 years old. Wow, I must have been 12 though. I was 12 years old. So I was in grade 7. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. It was an awful thing. And to say it is what it is also an awful thing because people died. But that is reality now. We are post-September 11th. We'll always be post-September 11th. We'll 9/11, as in that date. Will always be post. So, yeah, September 11th, I think that's when the world's innocence left us, personally. So yeah, if anyone's watching this right now, you could leave your comment of where you were, what September 11th was to you. In respect to this game right now, we're getting there. We're really getting there. We're like 60% done, I guess, is the best way to put it. Part of what I'm going to have to get better at is being comfortable. Like, in the last video, we didn't stay long enough at the speed square to get the Masamune blade, whatever. And I'm going to have to get that now near the end of the game. But I don't know what's easier. I don't know if 8 battles or 10 battles is easier than doing that damn speed square. Oh, the other thing though, actually, it's probably good that I left because I actually have to go back later in this game and go back and get the flare to get 5,000 points again. So if I don't get 5,000 points and I get like 3,000, there's a chance I'll get the Masamune blade. So why am I wasting my time? I gotta get comfortable not getting stuff. Another item I could have gotten earlier was on the train tracks to Gold Saucer. You can get, if you fight long enough, those bombs. So I think I stole a right arm from him. If they will randomly drop, if you don't steal, they will randomly drop with a pretty low percentage drop rate, shrapnel. And so I used to be a stickler for having my item list complete as possible. Technically, my item list isn't complete as possible right now because I could have had shrapnel. I could have had a Masamune blade by now. Another item that I'm probably going to skip over is the Earth Drum until the end of the game, because at the end of the game, you have more abilities to be able to just steal stuff. And you just have more enemies to choose from that have better drop rates or different means of getting it. So I'm saving time now for like easier conquests in the future. Yeah. My guys are just getting so powerful, as you can see. Yeah, right now I'm operating under my laptop. It's a pretty damn good laptop, but I just hopefully once I during the charity event, if I've got 100 people watching, and commenting, I wonder if it'll overheat more. I wonder if more people watching. I don't think it will. Right now my laptop's handling this great. I mean, I'm sure it's overheating, and I'm sure I'll have like a fan on it or something. But we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. What's sweet now too is after you're done this freaking grind. This has been quite the grind, by the way. This one's brutal. This is without a doubt the worst grind in the entire game, because it's the same freaking guys over and over. What else is there to talk about? Well, the benevolent fund, paramedic. Oh yeah, geez, recognition that paramedics have a dangerous job. So, I have a really good friend, a best friend really, of sorts, and he's also in the profession. He's also a paramedic. I won't say which service for, but he was told that our job is not dangerous. He is all about safety, as I am too. I'm all about safety. Personally, don't get paid enough to be killed, I don't think anyone is. Uh, but he was told by somebody that our job wasn't dangerous. And that's extremely offensive, personally. I mean, I'm pretty sure the first thing we assess when we're on scene is my environment safe? So if that's the first thing you have to do before you even start your job, I'd say your job is generally has an inherent danger to it. And I take offense to anybody who thinks that paramedicine is not an extremely dangerous job. We were basically, if someone's violent, we're basically called there, whether it's backup or not for police. I've been called before to people that are violent, and for whatever reason, police don't go. And so much love and respect to police out there that do their job, in an ethical manner. And, police are held under such a scrutinizing knife, which is good, which is absolutely good. Police need to be held to a high standard just as much as paramedics need to be held to a high standard. And let me tell you, I generally, as a paramedic, I can only speak for myself, as a paramedic, when a police officer is on scene, I generally feel safer. And they have helped me out on so many situations. And I just want to thank them so much for everything they've helped me for in previous calls. And, so if they're in dangerous situations, we're subjected if there's a really big thing going down, you better believe that there's paramedics there. We're just so subjected to danger every freaking day that I am, I'm cautious to a point where at the same time I also, it's all about balance. So I understand that we signed up for this job, and I understand there's going to be an inherent risk that sometimes I have to take risks in order to benefit my patient, right? But it's the classic, you're no good to your patient if you're injured or hurt. So, and even more so if we have a student. So paramedic students don't even get paid to this job. You're paying to go to school, and don't even get me started with ACP, with advanced care paramedicine, paying something like, I just paid $16,000 to do the 1-year program, and I get it, it's liability, I get it, they're paying for your insurance to do some pretty invasive procedures, but when we have a student with us that's not even a working medic yet, their safety is my utmost priority, because it's not just because they're not getting paid and that they're new to this, but they just don't have the experience or possibly the situational awareness that you start to develop, right, as you work. Every year I get better. I know I'll be a better medic than I was. I know I'll be a better medic next year than I am right now, and I know I'm a better medic now than I was last year. And, it's classic to get tunnel visioned, especially as a brand new medic or brand new paramedic student. It's only normal for people to get tunnel visioned. It's only normal. The whole fact that you literally, it's impossible for your brain to multitask. I don't know if any of you have heard that, but it's true. We can be very efficient and, complete multiple tasks at once, but technically multitasking and, your brain thinking of two separate tangible thoughts at the same time is impossible. The tunnel visioning, is just the classic adrenaline going through you and being so tunnel vision that you're blind to other stuff. And that is one of the reasons why I'm so protective of students, because they're getting so tunnel visioned on something that they might not see a danger that's, right around the corner. Okay, check over there. So, yeah. Seeing, like, it's so easy to tell when someone's tunnel vision now. Because, like, I pride myself in staying so cool and collected. But obviously, my first call ever as a paramedic student, I I can't say I was the most situationally aware person in that room. I think that would be ridiculous. I don't think that'd be giving credit to the senior medics that I was working with. They totally had a better grasp, and I want to be that leading example in the future, right? Um, I just want to be that, and there's something so cool about that. Like, you know, I think I don't know about you guys, but like everyone wants to get good at something. I truly feel that. Like everyone wants to be good at something. And I kind of was always like kind of unsure. I didn't know what I was destined to become. I didn't know what I was going to end up doing in my life. And then when I started, like, you know, obviously I got interested in paramedic first before I knew I had a knack for it or was good at it. And then, you know, I started doing well in it. And then, you know, my ride outs happened and I got better. And then I started working and I got even better and better and better. And, like, I personally do feel like I'm always going to be improving. And I'm always going to be learning. But, like, right now, I feel like I'm in such a groove. Like, I feel confident when it comes to my job. Like, I feel really confident. Like, I feel like I can do a lot of good. I also feel like I understand what's going on now. Like, it's not just, like, treating the person at face value. It's also understanding, like, the underlying conditions that are contributing to the person. And it's a cool feeling to be, like, just confident and, like, feel like being good at something. Like, it took me years to feel like I was good at something. And now that I feel like I'm good at something, like, I'm proud of it. Like, I want to impart the tips and tricks that I've come up with, right? Just like this game. Jeez, look at this. We're segueing back to the game. But, you know, I've come up with a few tricks. I think I can say them I think I can say them over this because there's nothing, I don't think I've come up with anything that's, like, inappropriate or against policy. So, like, for example, well, I don't know. Let me think. So, like tips and tricks, as in, like, so, like, one thing was the combination. My old partner and I, we have this thing. Well, I think most people should know what a stair chair is. So, a stair chair is something that we strap patients to, and like, you know, you secure them with seatbelts. And it's got, like, these tracks on the back of it, and it helps us carry but also slide people downstairs. And it's basically it's a pretty fundamental extrication tool when it comes to stairs and other forms of extrication. It's just a good tool to use. But we also have this other thing in our service called a rescue seat, which I don't think every service has. But using them as a combination, so you put somebody on a rescue seat, put them on the stair chair, unstrap them from the stair chair, and then use the rescue seat to get them onto the bed. I don't know, there's a few ways. That was a good little trick that we picked up, that we came up with. I'm sure other people came up with that too. But I think the thing that feel like I've coined, and I totally feel like I came up with it. Okay, so we all know opioid. We all know that opioid misuse, and, like, so that's like heroin and fentanyl. Like, drug overdoses are a serious thing. Like, it's such a pandemic, and my heart goes out to anybody who suffers with addiction. Addiction is a really, really hard thing to fight. It's a daily struggle for people. It wouldn't be called an addiction if it wasn't. And I know there's so much underlying other shit that goes with it, whether it's mental health and the biological part of it, like the you don't just sometimes have a physical, but you sometimes have like a dependence on a pathophysiological level and like a chemical dependence, and that's one of the hardest things. And there's so much behind addiction, and I won't really get into it, but basically we go to it a lot, right? Like we go to it, and don't even get me started with Narcan, because you know, Narcan is what it is. And I do think our base hospital, so my base hospital is are basically like our doctors that we're licensed under to perform acts, and one of them is Narcan. So you'd think, oh, like, geez, I can give Narcan. Anybody can give Narcan. I think Canada. I know in Ontario, like, they hand out Narcan at Shoppers Drug Mart for free. But for us, like, you'd think, okay, so if we can do it, paramedics can just give it out willy-nilly. But we actually have a set of criteria that the patient needs to meet to give out Narcan. And the reason being is because Narcan, there's a few reasons, but Narcan can, you are about to awake somebody and you are about to take away their entire high. So to say that there's a potential of them becoming violent, that's a big one. Like safety being first. So another reason is polypharmacy. So another drug, another drug on board. So if somebody's taken an upper and a downer, so they've taken an opioid, but they've also taken a sympathomimetic, there is, sorry, my foot's itchy. There's a chance if you take away all of the downer that the upper is going to then surface, and they're going to have some very adverse effects, whether it be a seizure, hyperthermia, acidosis, things like that will surface. So so we don't give out Narcan willy-nilly. So because we can control an airway, it's a lot more beneficial for us to control the airway, provide ventilations and like PPV, and continue. It's all about ventilations and continuing to just control the airway, right? Because really, opioids are just a respiratory depressant. I'm sure there's a toxic or lethal dose, but generally what kills people that are overdosing on opioids is respiratory depression. They stop breathing. So I'm not smiling because of this. I'm just smiling what I'm leading up to. So as long as you can control the airway, you're going to be keeping them alive. Like people who do carfentanil and fentanyl, like they will stop breathing so long that they'll die. But if you breathe for them, you could be bagging them, as they say, or ventilating them, as they say, until the cows come home, and just keeping them alive. Like you're going to keep them well oxygenated, until the drug starts to metabolize and wear off. So because the two reasons, the two ways, the two biggest things you have to validate with giving Narcan is either you have such a difficult airway, you don't have a good airway, you're not able to control the airway, you're not able to be the boss of it. So you give it for that, because then if you give Narcan, then you're gonna, it's a competitive antagonist for it. You are going to take the reins. If you can't take the reins of their airway, you're going to give Narcan so they start breathing again spontaneously on their own. Now, there is the risk that they will, lash out and possibly hurt somebody, and that's why they want us to transport a person, get them to a hospital in a nice controlled environment, in a setting where you have security, where you have doctors, where you have more hands, instead of being in their house, right, or on the side of a street. Like, there's so much, right, there's so much danger, and it's pretty much untrue that you're going to, yes, the half-life of Narcan is going to wear off, and yes, the drug will take effect again, but them dying from you giving Narcan and the Narcan wearing off first is apparently very, very rare. Anyways, the other reason would be that you can't control the airway because of an extrication. So that would be like, oh, I can control their airway easily. I have no problem controlling their airway. But we have to now carry them down 2 flights of stairs. So yes, you have an easy airway, but when you're carrying them down these two stairs, you're not going to be able to control their airway. You're anticipating losing that airway for a bit. So would it be more beneficial to give them just enough Narcan? And that's the other thing, is titrating Narcan. So with Narcan, the intranasal ones that they give you at Shoppers Drug Mart or wherever are 4 milligrams, and it is intranasal. So that route, it's not immediate. It's pretty damn fast though. It's a pretty quick absorption. 4 milligrams is a life rescuing dose, and I'm talking about like they're gonna be conscious. 4 milligrams. We've gone to people who've been given 4 shots, so 16 milligrams of Narcan. Like that is so much Narcan. Like you can have side effects like flash pulmonary edema and that. But so if we're able to get IV access and secure an IV, we like to titrate Narcan. So we'll give just enough to not wake you up, but to just get you breathing again by yourself. So there's that like threshold where you're like not conscious yet, but we've reversed enough of the metabolism to just restore your respiratory drive. So if you're able to do that, titrate it, get them breathing again, and then you can carry them downstairs. That's even better, right? But if neither of those are reason enough, like if you have an easy airway, you'll never give Narcan to an easy airway as a paramedic. That's kind of the way I look at it. If you can easily ventilate them, if you don't have a difficult extrication and they're unconscious, you're going to be transporting them to the hospital, right? And one thing is, welcome to Canadian public health care, as I say, is offload delays. So if you're bagging them, you're generally a CTAS 1, so that means you're getting a resuscitation room right away. But it's very classic. It's very, it's not that uncommon that you bring in an opioid overdose, they're barely breathing, or they're breathing enough with just some stimulus. So we call something as paramedics we do is verbal stimulus and painful stimulus. So you shout, you talk to them, or you use just enough painful stimulus to get them breathing again for a bit. Well, sometimes we're on offload delays for hours on end, right? With somebody who's overdosed on something. And going over there and shaking the stretcher or providing the classic, so the 2 classic ones are trap squeeze and sternal rub. There's some other tips and tricks that people have started learning over there. But nobody likes causing pain. I don't like causing pain, but I understand there's a time and place when it's necessary, right? And you're doing the best for them. And so this is one thing I came up with. So, and I personally I think it's so smart, and I think it kind of replaces the need to constantly go over and give them a good sternal rub, or constantly shake the stretcher, keeping them breathing. So we have this thing on our so my service is Zoll monitors, and there's a setting. So we have non-invasive blood pressure cuffs, and which basically so it's a blood pressure cuff that automatically takes it. It's automatic. We're not taking it. And there's a setting called turbo cuff. So turbo cuff tries to, what are we at, 69? Turbo cuff tries to get you as many blood pressures as possible in 5 minutes. So it goes up to goes up to it, gets a systolic, drops. As soon as it gets a diastolic, so now it's got you a complete blood pressure. It will reinflate to systolic, then down to diastolic, then up to systolic. So it never really stops squeezing. It just kind of like tightens and releases slightly, tighten and releases slightly, and obviously nobody likes a blood, like, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me, but sometimes blood pressure cuffs, like, they hurt some people, right? Like, people don't like them. It's not an enjoyable feeling sometimes. It's cutting off your circulation. It's normal for your arm and for your brain to interpret that as, pain. So if I'm on offload delay with somebody who's an opioid user, and they're not obviously valid for Narcan, and their respirate, it's not absent. It's not to the point where I should start bagging them, and their respirate does improve or increases with it does improve with a little bit of painful stimulus. And mind you, when it comes to opioid overdoses, like, it's all about ventilation, right? They're building up CO2. It's not necessarily about, like, hypoxia is definitely something when it comes to oxygen. When they're low on oxygen, but you also need to be mindful of that they're building up carbon dioxide and they're not breathing it off. So if they have a fairly good CO2, but their respirate's just not there, they're bradypneic, their respirate's like 4 or 8, just turn on TurboCuff, because TurboCuff for the next 5 minutes provides such an unpleasant experience that you are keeping them breathing, and that's my job. My job isn't to give you, it's not to provide you, if we were giving people who use opioids the most pleasant experience in the world, their respirate would be 0. Because it's just like heroin, right? Heroin and fentanyl, it's an opioid. I always say, it must be so freaking good if it's worth not breathing over. If your brain is not telling you to breathe, damn, and that drug is that addictive, man, that drug must be amazing. And I know it sounds crazy, but TurboCuff now, this unpleasant sensation for the next 5 minutes, just enough to get them breathing, but it's not enough to, like, wake them up and possibly, harm my student or make it unsafe for them as well. So, anyways, that's my little tips and trick for that. The only other thing I think I generally have picked up on is that every time I put on a 3 lead, every freaking time, doesn't matter who, even if it's just a 3 lead, even if my intention isn't to do a 12 lead, if a 12 lead is even unnecessary, or if it is necessary, as soon as the 3 lead is on, so that's 4 cables, I hit 12 lead on the Zoll monitors. And the reason being is that I'm not as in I'm hitting 12 lead to take a picture of a 12 lead. I go into the 12 lead menu. So when you go into the 12 lead menu and you have your 3 leads on, you see your 6 views of limb leads, right? You see your 6 vectors, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, AVL, AVR, and AVF. Sorry, AVR, AVLF. And you see your 6 views. So generally when we put on our 3 leads, right, it defaults to lead 2. But lead 2 can have a lot of artifact in it, right? It could be a small magnitude. And it, you can't really, sometimes it can be very difficult to interpret. By you hitting 12 lead and by you going into the 12 lead menu and seeing those 6 leads, you will find a vector that has the least amount of artifact, but you can also pick up on other things that you may have not seen in lead 2. I find lead 1 and lead 3 when you're going through leads, they sometimes have the most discernible QRSs. So it'll pick up on a rate a lot easier, a lot more normal than 2 sometimes. Sometimes 2 is like not that big of a magnitude. So when there's a little bit of artifact, it'll say their heart rate is freaking 200, or it'll say their heart rate's 20, and that neither of those are actually accurate. So that's one thing I do for that. And another reason I do it is because if somebody is having an inferior STEMI, okay, so in 2, 3, and AVF, why are we even waiting to put on the precordial leads? Why aren't we? If somebody's having chest pain, and you put a 3 lead on, and your partner is starting to put the 12 lead on, the V1 to V6, like, why are you even waiting to go into the 12 lead menu? Go into the 12 lead menu. You, with 2, 3, and AVF already showing before you even put on the V1 to V6, you can say, wow, this looks like a STEMI. 2, 3, and AVF are all elevated over a millimeter. And really, V1 to V6 is just to see how extensive it is, or possibly like reciprocal changes. But you could almost be on the phone with a cardiologist as the first 12 lead is starting to interpret. And, we all say time is tissue, and like that is just a perfect example. That's a perfect example of just hitting 12 lead beforehand. Like, it's just so, instead of cycling, we have a soft key, that will cycle through your leads, so if you're like troubleshooting, if you have like lots of artifact or like a small morphology, you can technically do that. But I just like hitting 12 lead, and then I can see my 6 and see which I want to do. So, just those are my two big tricks that I'm okay with sharing with the world. If it's going to benefit someone else one day, I don't need any credit, because I'm sure someone else does that. So speaking of segueing into this, into this game. So now that there's almost 8 billion people in this world, it's easy to feel like, how could you contribute, or something new, something original, right? And like I was just saying, somebody else may have come up with that turbo cuff trick, or somebody may do the exact same thing as me. There's also a chance, there is a small chance that I could be the first one. And that's what's so crazy about this game, was that this game's been out for 23 years. And there's been this, people are still discovering things to this day about this game. So that MP Plus glitch I found in video 2 or 3, I think that was the last video, number 3. That was literally discovered, I'm pretty sure this year, and it's so epic, and it expands on that. You can, somebody basically explained it as it could almost be a borderline new game plus, because you can technically import. Apparently, you can import materia from one save file into a new save file, which I think is so freaking cool. But yeah, so when people were looking for this lucky sevens trick and these algorithms, that there are some ways. So the most common I've seen for the lucky sevens trick is specifically with one of the super bosses, Emerald Weapon. He has this move called Airtam Storm, which spelled backwards is Materia Storm. And based on you basically max out at 9,999 health, and he takes you down 1,111 health based on how many materia you have. So if you have 2 materia, I don't want to say it, 9,999 minus 2,222 is 7,777 is lucky sevens. That was I think that was one of the initial ones that I had heard about. But then was the chocobuckle tricks. So the chocobuckle tricks was running away. So the more times you run away, is how much chocobuckle hurts. Wow, we're getting up there. We're at 73. is that's how much Chocobuckle hurts you. And as we all know, we can hurt you can hurt your own heroes with moves. So, if you run away 1,111 times and cast it twice on somebody, then you could, somebody with that full 9,999 health, you could trigger Lucky Sevens. So that, and then, or you could run away up to 2,222 times. And then you'd only have to cast it once. And other people, you can bring up your Chocobuckle if you are really willing to run away 10,000 times, which I don't know how long that takes. You could make Chocobuckle one of the strongest moves in the entire game. Enemy skills in the entire game. And I did try this strategy once I saw, where you so the only, oh, why is it that? So the Midgar Zolom is on the world map. The Midgar Zolom is one that you can point yourself in a direction that you just keep running into the swamp, because every time you run away, I'm pretty sure you when you run away, I'm pretty sure you end up on the Chocobo Ranch side. But you can set up your controller that it just keeps running into the swamp. And one of the materia combos you can do is, I believe it's sneak attack and exit, which is upon getting into the fight with the Midgar Zolom, you immediately escape. You immediately do before you even get hurt. So you could always hold down escape. You could have the buttons hold down escape, but Midgar Zolom is going to hurt you so much that you'll be dead in a few escapes. So instead, you have the sneak attack. And paired with the exit materia, and I'm pretty sure there's like a really, if they're both mastered, you have like a really high percentage that you'll get away. And I'm sure everyone's worked out the kinks, right? So, anyways, that's a quick way of getting up to 1,111. Like, you can basically be AFK. You can be away from the keyboard. You can be away from you can walk away from your controller, turn off the TV, and just let it go on the background until you're over 1,000. So when I came up, when I just one day, inadvertently, I believe I was at my place in Thorold, playing around with the game, just playing it, and came across, just realized something, this combination of materia and this combination of how to get up closest to Lucky Sevens. So I figured out how to get the closest to Lucky Sevens, and that it wouldn't take much to get to it. I thought to myself, wow, somebody else must have figured this out. Nobody else did. Well, not that I know of, right? So I looked online, couldn't find anything online. And generally now we can say online is the library of the world, because it's the internet, what's it called, the superhighway? Yeah, it's just if it's not online, did it really happen? So I told my buddy about it, he thought it was pretty cool, and I held on to it for like a good 2 years, and then I finally posted it online, and it was really nice. Like the reception that I got, the reception that I got was really nice. I don't even remember saving, by the way. Okay. So yeah, it was just cool. Like, I feel like I'm the original when it came up to this. When it coming up with this algorithm, I felt like I was the original. I still kind of feel like I'm the original. So it just feels cool. I feel like I said, like 8 billion people in this world. Coming up with something is, I don't know, just felt really neat. So we're getting up to 90 deadly waste. So once we hit 90 deadly waste, that's when I'm going to start stealing from smoggers and trying to get 11 smoke bombs. We're already over 1 million gil. That's one accomplishment. And then where we're going from here, because I mean we're getting there. We're getting to the point where I can almost say we're gonna move on finally, and I can focus on the game again. Where are we at? We're at 73. We're gonna go. We're gonna cross the. We've done everything on this continent now, basically. We're gonna cross over again, and that villa, that President Shinra's villa, we're gonna buy it because it was 300,000 gil. It's just something to say that we bought it. It's really, there's no other reason other than that. We're gonna buy it, and it's crazy too because you wouldn't think you need this much gil, but and I probably don't need as much gil now. Now that we're trying this new chocobo trick, which I have yet. By the way, I have never tried this trick ever, and that's why this is a good tester for the speed run. Because this will save me a few hours. I think it'll save me a few hours. Actually, quite a bit. Yeah, I think it'll save me a lot of time. I don't need as much gil, so where I'm going to be saving time is eventually as the gold chocobo is getting a gold chocobo. Usually the classic, there's like this classic version of getting a gold chocobo by racing all of your damn freaking chocobo. Racing them. And I'm going to have to make a few decisions based on when I do it. I'm obviously going to get so you gotta find 4 chocobo. So you gotta find 4 chocobo. You gotta breed them. You gotta race them. You gotta breed them and hopefully get the opposite genders of a blue and green chocobo so that you can race them and then breed them and and get them old enough by battling so that they can breed. And then once you get that, you get a black chocobo, and then you got to catch another chocobo in the wild. You got to race them, and once you've raced them and gotten the black chocobo old enough, then you can finally breed them and get a gold chocobo. But there is this way. So when it comes to chocobos, chocobo breeding in this game, it's all about RNG. So I think RNG stands for random number in the game or whatever. And RNG is just, it's the randomness that there's like this number in the background that is determining certain parts about this game, right? Like everything. Like most games have RNG in the background. And it makes it feel like the randomness and the dice chance of the game. So somebody learned how to control the RNG in a sense, because RNG when you first open up the game is kind of determined. It's kind of determined. So somebody figured out like exactly what to do, and they played it out, and like that's the thing with RNG is like my game is different from if you're playing along, or my game is different from another person's game. So yeah, just if this works, I honestly think this will save me a huge amount of time. But we'll see. We shall see. That MP Plus is really working for Cloud, as you can see. He's at like 780 magic, which is more than 20 beta casts. And White Wind combined. Why did I do that? That was stupid. They were all bad. The preemptive attack could have taken them all out. All these alls that we're mastering. This is a gill farm right now. Like all of these are worth 1.4 million. That's why you raise alls. Alls are pretty, like, all these enemy skills are so freaking good. Wait, long range. All of the enemy skills are so good that eventually you don't really need alls. Like I used to think alls were, they're so amazing, right? But generally, enemy skills and summons end up being, well, like one summon ends up being the best cast. Yeah. No, sorry. Enemy skills and command materia. Command materia is your shit. That shit will get you fire. Another thing that would save a huge amount of time, and it sucks because this game didn't enable it, is if the speed boost could be, like the 3x speed boost in this screen could somehow be enabled, because you would find battles so much quicker, I feel. I could be wrong. But we're getting there. So yeah, if that gold saucer trick works. Oh yeah, gold chocobo thing works. But I think the video, so I'm gonna be following it. I'm gonna be following it to a T. And I'm pretty sure they do it when they have Tifa, because you can get a gold chocobo. It's a little bit harder. I think you can only get 4 stables. I don't know. I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's huge. What is this? MP Plus. Wow. Look at that, guys. 20,000. That's it? Wait, seriously? Wow. It's just long range. That's the only thing I really want to. Still 75. So when Tifa is the leader of your party, that's the earliest time you can get a gold chocobo. and that's great and all because I'm definitely getting the 4 legendary materials or whatever you call them, like the materia caves. So that the 4 of them are Knights of the Round, HPMP, Mime, and Quadramagic. Actually, I always get Quadramagic early. But another thing you can do with the Gold Chocobo is, well, Lucretia's Waterfall. I'm definitely not doing Lucretia's Waterfall for a few reasons. But you can do the Ancient Forest. And the reason I don't... What can you get in the Ancient Forest? I think you can get Slash All. You can get... I think you can get Slash All, so that's actually pretty good. So we're down to Chocobo Lure and Long Range. Everything else is mastered. I guess I can get Slash All. And Typhoon. I think you get Typhoon in there. But the biggest one is Apocalypse, which is a triple growth weapon, which is insane. The only reason I might not want to get it yet is because Cloud's not. So Apocalypse is Cloud's triple growth weapon. There's only 2 triple growth weapons in the entire game. Apocalypse and I believe Scimitar. But there's no reason for Tifa to get it, because if you don't have a Cloud in your party, then why are you even wasting your time getting it? And I just think that, like, it actually is a kind of tricky... It is a kind of tricky landscape. Level. Like, it's a difficult part of the world map, because the guys are pretty damn strong. Without Cloud, like, I don't know. Cloud's a freaking hero. So, we will see. We're getting there. I'm trying to think what else you can do with the Gold Chocobo. You can do quite a bit. You can do quite a bit of things. I think I wrote them all out though. You can just get any, like, Gold Chocobo is literally the best means of transport in the entire game. I feel I hit 90. Because this game starts moving once we're at 90. I just keep not getting Deadly Waste. At least those guys are getting so damn powerful. So something I do to, like, you'll see a little trick I do. It's kind of dumb. But when I'm mugging people, I'll put, like, Cloud or Red 13. I'll put Cloud in the back row and remove his long range materia. Because your mug is, like, pretty much as powerful as your attack. And, it's pretty much as powerful as your attack. So, like, why try and, when you want to, like, at least get 2 chances to mug? And Cloud gets so freaking powerful. Forget what else I do to make them less powerful. Oh, I could technically... Oh, yeah. So one thing about mug is it's kind of frustrating when you just kill people that you're just trying to steal from. But your mug gets so... Like, their mug is so powerful that they just kill everybody. And then it'll say couldn't steal anything. And then you have to get into another battle. So something that I came up with, which was like, I mean, I'm sure maybe someone else came up with this, but we're soon going to be going to Gongaga Village, and in Gongaga Village you can get, I believe it's Shrivels, or Impalers, Shrivels, and Shrivels cast Mini on enemies, but if you turn the Shrivel on yourself and make yourself Mini, your mug will only hurt 1 damage. So I've really like classically now that's like revolutionized stealing for me in the future of this game, because I just cast Shrivel on my guy, and then it's a lot easier to steal. That's all. That's all. And that's a big one. So yeah. I mean, you do have to make sure your guy's not protected from. You gotta make sure that your guy, like, you don't have an accessory that protects you from going small, like mini, because then Shrivels will have no effect on you. And what was the last thing? Excuse me. So you want to make sure that. Oh, and you're like, well, then why don't you just equip the steal? Like, so every time you master something, you've been seeing in the level up screen, it says a new one was born. So a new one is born with 0 AP, right? It's brand new. It's like you just bought a materia at the store. You just picked one up off the ground. Yeah, like, why wouldn't I just do that? Well, part of this game, especially once you master a thing, is having a complete set of newly born materia. It's just clean, right? It's just really clean in your inventory, and it's really what people base most of this game off of. Like, sometimes there is like a true 100%er that, like, getting unmastered copies. They call them unmastered copies of materia, and those are all glitches. Those are like boss glitches, which can be absolutely ridiculous. Yes, that's done. And I'm not about the boss glitching. Like, boss glitching, I think is, well, first of all, I think it's unnecessary. Oh my goodness. We're getting like no deadly waste all of a sudden. Honestly, I'm getting so tired. I think what I'm going to do is, next time I have to save, I'm probably going to shut her down. Which will be getting close to like 10 hours in, so that's pretty good. We're going, we're making it, we're pushing. This is kind of annoying. Like, technically I could get 3 deadly wastes in one battle. And I really only need like, technically 4 more of those. That's obviously not happening. And really, like, the reason I just don't do it now, like, why am I not mugging guys now, is it's not efficient. Like, it's really not efficient. Because if you unsuccessfully mug people, you're killing them, but it just takes so much longer. You see how quick these beta fights are going on. And yeah, I think this is like actually averaging out to be a perfect, like, I think generally I'm always here for 4 hours, so in a 24-hour game I'm here for a sixth of the time. But going into the next section of this game with all of your old materials completely mastered is great. Oh yeah. And because you have completely empty slots going into the next part of the game, and you'd get tons of material. Like, this is like just the beginning of all the material there is in this game, and you don't want to be continuing to work on the old ones. Like, I'm going in now to the next section of the game with a completely clean slate. Completely. And, yeah, that's good. What were we talking about? Completely clean slate. Yeah, like leveling up here is, I think, very wise. What was I gonna say? Completely clean slate. There are so many materia. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So there's a part of this game where you get robbed. And you get robbed of like what's supposed to be all of your materia. So you're supposed to go into this part of the game where all of your materia goes missing. And but the person who steals it from you can only steal so much materia, and like at that point of the game, which actually isn't too far away, you're not even supposed to have like that much. But as you can see, is every time I master materia, you now have two copies. You have the mastered version, and you have the brand new born one. Like you have the one with 0 AP. So you're doubling your materia every time you master something. You just doubled something, and I'm doubling up on what do you call it? So those alls, right? So alls, like I'm mastering 3 at a time right now, and generally I would sell all my alls right now because I want millions and millions of dollars. But like you can hold them basically in the bank. Like you can. You can, if I hold on to all those alls, those are filling more slots in my materia inventory, and so which means they'll steal less and less of your materia, and so you can actually play this part of this whole part of this game, which is Wu Tai. You can play this whole part of the game where you're not supposed to have any materia, but because you have so much, because right here we are creating so much of it. They actually don't. I don't know. I probably will clean up, but you're so powerful too. You don't even really need much. But it is kind of cool going in to a part of the game where you're not supposed to have materia and you still have it. But it is what it is. I also do I'm all about a clean and tidy inventory, so I probably will sell a lot of my alls because I really don't need them. I mean, if I was like, I think I've done it before. I think I've sold so much materia. Like near the end, at the very end of this game, there's this place where you can raise materia like no other, and you could be raising because eventually you could buy unborn all materials. Let me see here, like at least 10. What's 6 plus? 6 plus 8, 6 plus 6. Alright, like generally. Oh, wait, double, triple. 4 and 8. You could technically be raising 25 all materias at the end of the game all at once, and like that's 1.4 million each. You can sell so much materia that you break the freaking guild counter. That instead of um, numbers, it has to start showing symbols, because I guess that's how it represents multiple numbers. I think that's the reason. But yeah, so I'm not going for that. Like, I just need enough money. The most expensive part of this game is, well, weapons. Most expensive part of this game is probably the chocobo. Probably that. Just because you're spending like $1 million on each chocobo. But now that I'm skipping that part, a big section of that gold chocobo raising, I won't have to spend as much money there. And the other thing is, actually, there's like some like weird, like not hidden weapons, but like weapons that we don't generally buy that are really expensive. Can't think of what else causes it. Ugh. Well, I hope to hit 90 here. If I don't hit 90 here after all of this, I'm totally shutting her down. Definitely going to stop playing this for a bit, just because I should hit 90 here. If you look at all my guys, they're going to be doing like, this is like 50 more battles at least. We're at 82. So I need 8. Well, I mean, I need 97, so I need 15 more, but still. 7. Once I get up to 90, I'll steal the 11 smoke bombs, and then I'll continue. Smoke bombs can be a little tricky to steal, actually. I gotta say, like, it's weird. Like, I don't have shovels yet, so there's no point like losing sleep over killing guys. But I'm pretty sure if I put Cloud in the back row, he sometimes gets oh, do I equip a shitty weapon on him? I could do that too. I could technically equip a really crappy weapon on him. Weird. But yeah, agree time for spontaneously meeting user. Weird. That's freaking weird. Weird, weird, weird. We're almost at 10 hours in this game. Oh geez, for the charity event, I'm totally gonna need a comfortable chair with good lighting, because I know this isn't really the most ideal webcasting. It's like, welcome to the chill show. And my guys are already at like 6,000 health, right? Their Barrett's at 6,000 health. How crazy. here's Cloud doing like 1,500 damage. All of my guys are hurting at like 1,000, and these guys, you know, like now we are better than these enemies. 84. I don't know why I just kind of stopped getting deadly waves. Kind of annoying. 84. You can kind of look at it as like an 84% kind of deal. We could, well, really, we just have to hit 97. So that's, if we hit 97, you could basically say we're at 84%. I feel like if I give a special shout out now in a video and then tell my buddies that I gave them a special shout out, they'll feel obligated to, oh my god, one thing. What? Uh-oh. Oh my god, what the fuck? Weird. Oh man, freaking creepy. Some people come into your life and kind of scare you. What do they want from you? But yeah, if I give a special shout out to my buddies right now, but then tell them it's in one of the 24 hours worth of videos, they have to watch the whole thing. So if I'm like, yo Ollie, swinging that big dick, Zach man, oh shit, you're the coolest guy in the world, you know, Mr. Jordan Leon, you sexy motherfucker. But if I do all that and then tell them that it's you know, you have to watch the whole video. And what's hilarious that this is like 10 hours into it, so it's like the perfect middle part where there's gonna be 24 hours worth of footage here, and they might have to watch it all just to, you know, just to see that my shout out was actually just like really small. I could start doing that. That'd be funny, but I won't. I will tell them one day that I just did say their 3 names. I could also say Spencer. Back home, brother. Sip, what the fuck's up, bro? Just want to heal my guys, for God's sakes. Heal. I've got a free limit break here. Yeah, it's a long game. I think that's what always keeps me interested was the fact that like, see, if I had chosen my limit break there, like, so I'd already told Barrett to use White Wind, but if at any point I chose Cloud to then use that limit break right away too, he would have actually jumped Barrett in the queue, even though I chose Barrett's command first, just because the limit break trumps all. So sometimes you gotta play, you'll see when we're raising limit breaks too, you gotta kind of play into that, or just be aware of it. I forget what I was talking about. Just wanna heal my guys, I remember saying that. Oh yeah, this game is just so long. So like, the crazy thing is like, the game is the perfect length in which, as soon as you finish it, you were so far away now from start, like the beginning, that when you play the beginning, it feels like a whole new game again, because you forget, like, you don't forget anything, but like, there's just so much to do in this game. It's such a good game. I can't even explain to you how good this game is. I can only show you. And right now, as you can see, We're just milking the hell out of this. We're almost there. We're getting there. We're at 85. My God, these guys aren't dropping. So yeah, if I didn't sell any of my alls or I just sold like one, that's all I need. And that's sick because, geez, when I don't need any of that materia, or when all my materia is supposed to get stolen, they wouldn't be able to steal like barely anything because they'd take all my alls. But I probably won't do that. I'll probably sell it all. Yeah, so with the long range materia, like, as long as 87, not bad. As long as we can master one of them here, we might be able to. The other one, like long range works just as well mastered versus unmastered. As long as we can master one of them here to get the next copy, everybody can be in the back row at least. Oh, that's until we start filling up our slots again with other like new materials, and we have to get rid of the mastered long range. But it's nice in the meantime. It's crazy how quickly, like, you get so many new materials. It's crazy how quickly you fill up all the slots again. I'm also doing double, like, I also emphasize double slots. So always using, I also emphasize double growth equipment. I think it's the most efficient technically. But the thing with double growth weapons is there's usually not as many slots, so you can't like fill up your weapons and armor. Usually, there was one point in the game where Sid has this dragoon lance, which is like 10 freaking materia spots, or like 8, I don't know. But it's good. Come on, let's get there. We're getting there. We're almost there. Come on. 88. 88, baby. Hey, boo boo. So in 2, once we get 2 more deadly waste, I'm gonna start mugging. Hopefully get 11 smoke bombs, and you can go back to your old ways. Was I healing guys in the past too? I feel like I don't really need to change my style and like take away Cloud's long range. I feel like if I get to 96. Oh, that's huge. That is huge. That long range is done. Let's give Red 13 long range. Let's move him to the back. Move him here. Let's do that. And then I feel like I should put him in the back. I don't know. Cloud really starts hurt, like as you can see. I should also take away his power wrist. So his accessory right now, Cloud's accessory right now, just causes him to hurt more. Oh my god. What the fuck happened? Holy shit. So take away his power wrist and put on, I don't know, darkness. That makes sense. Yeah. I think you can get darkness. Make sure he has his steel. He does. He's got his mug. He's in the back row. He doesn't have long range. Red 13. He's raising up his long range. That's so sick. Wow. Where the fuck did that come from? So, yeah. 10 hours, 4 minutes. 10 hours, no minutes. So, we gotta start mugging, because holy shit, I'm behind. 91, where the fuck did that happen? Mug. Okay, that's sick. White wind. There's one. It's not a big deal if you kill. Whoa. Alright, well, with that being 720, with his damage being 723, that's like 3 mugs then, which is dope. I think we're at 3 already, Jesus, that's sick. Okay, so we're gonna do a range customized deadly waste, and we're gonna get the smoke bomb. There we go. So we can see both stats. Look at that, eh? 91 and 3. We need 97, 11. We're close. We're so close. We might not even need to rest one more time. I'm pretty sure we will get through this. I don't think we'll need to rest. What'll be ideal too is if we get Cloud, if when we leave, his limit break is high up. I mean, if it's not that case, that's fine, but it is what it is. It's like 3 is like the magic number. Except when he does shit like that. So yeah, it's like not a huge deal if we actually got Deadly Waste here, because it's efficient as shit. Actually, well, I don't know. We almost like want the smoke bomb. what would be ideal is if we get 11 smoke bombs right off the hop, because then we just go straight back to just murdering, and we get up to that 97 deadly waste, and then we can leave. We're not really using our magic here either. That's kind of sick. I didn't even realize that. Oh wait, why can't he use light wind? Are you effing kidding me? Shit. Wait, why isn't he mugging? Mug. Mug. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Again. Again. And one more time. I'm an idiot. Alright. Mug. Come on, baby. Give me goddamn smoke bombs. Come on. Yeah. That was good. Alright. Give your... Oh, that was a huge win right there. Deer, orange, exchange. No, Barrett's enemy skill goes to red 13. Red 13's in the back. Yeah. Okay. Wow, we're doing really great right now. Whoops. Whatever. Just do it. Just so we can attack. $1,300,000 gil, and to think we were starting out here with like, pretty sure like 100 hundo. So smoke bomb. 92 and 6. 92 and 6. Pretty good. Yeah, I'm not gonna heal anybody. Where did I do? What part of this game do I do that where I heal? I think I used to always heal guys, cause 92 and 8. Wow. I used to always have to heal guys because I didn't know about that shrivel trick. So it would suck because like some guys you can attempt to steal for so long that like it's just so freaking annoying. 92 and 8, 92 and 8. That's not bad. We need 3 more of these babies. Why am I hurting now? Oh, I'm in the front. So good to know for back attacks now. Move Cloud to the back. We're so close, guys. So like technically, if we get a triple Smogger group, then and Cloud successfully steals from each one, then we'll be at 92-11, and we really only need 7 more. That'd be huge. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Motherfucker. That makes sense sometimes, eh? Nothing. Just murder and got nothing. That's the worst combo right there. Get absolutely nothing. You don't smug. You don't steal. Don't get anything. Okay, let's go, baby. One. The reason I steal 11 smoke bombs is because, so in the battle square, you can, there's like a few enemies. Oh my god, did I just get that? We're at 10, right? Yeah. Just get that. There's like a few enemies, actually like multiple enemies, that can kick you out of the game. Like throw you out of the ring. And if they do that, you don't get any battle points. And if you run away, you also don't get any battle points. So there's another setting too where like you can get so screwed with handicaps in the game. Oh right. I think we just got 11. I think we're at 11 smoke bombs. We are. Let's go. So we need 5 more. Sometimes with the battle square, which we're about to go in. So battle square is where you fight against. You go in the gold saucer and you fight like against random enemies. And every round, there's 8 rounds, you get a handicap. And yeah, it is what it is. But sometimes you can be so disabled by handicaps, like let's say you're like a frog at the end, there's no way for you to get out of it. If you run away, so if you die, you don't get any battle points. If you run away, you don't get any battle points. But if you use a smoke bomb, you do get battle points. And actually, you technically don't even need to beat the last guy. You can just use a smoke bomb and you get all the battle points. So, the reason I steal 11 is because you don't have to run away. I don't feel you need to run away 10 times total. Like, if that happens, you're just having a bad day. And you can always come back here. You get more smoke bombs. I generally use it 4 or 5 times. I'd say. Wow. These alls are going to be mastered too. Oh, I can move Cloud up now. And let's bring in him too. There we go. We're getting there, eh guys? 93, I think I need 4 left. That's technically 2 battles. Could be 2 battles. As little as... $94, baby. Let's go. So Red 13's got at least like, I think Red 13 has 12 more betas in them. So if I can't get 3 deadly wastes and 12 betas, I don't know. That's frustrating. Two more. What freaking enemy skill only costs 4? That's it. Two more, let's go. We are so close to moving on, folks. So close. 2. Give me 2. Alright, here we go. 96. We need 1 deadly waste. 1 more deadly waste. And we move on. That's why I'm at the door right here. As soon as we get it, we're running. And like, just look at how freaking crazy strong these guys are now. Come on. This could be it. This could be it. There's a big chance here. Big chance here. Alright. Boom. Let's go. No, nothing. Come on. Yeah, baby. All done. Let's go. 1.4 million. Mark. Save. Rest. Deserve a good rest. Alright. Save. Alright, That's all. That's all we need to do. And we're going to save. Alright. That's it. Let's go. Sell master all down and sell down. Deadly waste down to 50. Oh, that's huge. Huge. We're about to timestamp this split. We're gonna first of all sell 47 of these bad boys. We're gonna go to materia and sell a bunch of alls. These are all mastered. And look at that money go up. Look at that. 11 million. Perfect. Item, range, type. So we're gonna buy this place. Just to say we did it. Yeah. Perfect. Villa Cloud. Cloud Villa. You can technically sleep here now. That's it. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. My buggy should be here. Yeah. We are going to Battle Square. And I think it's probably safe to split now too. Oh, don't you dare. So we're gonna split it here actually. And I should probably end it here. So, I'm gonna save. And we'll split it. Ugh. There we go. Close enough. We saved it, right? 10:23. Oh. Broadcast. Stop broadcasting. Okay.